Hi everyone, my name is Jarek from Genius Gecko and welcome to the video showing new features of BigPicture 8.6. As usually, BigPicture team did not let us down and introduced several pretty interesting features. Let's go one by one through them. Let's start with the biggest change introduced in this version of BigPicture, and this is Gantt's changelog. If we'll go into Gantt module into Infobar, we see a new tab here called Change History. It lists recent changes that affected start or end date of the tasks that are within our box. So we can basically see here the list or the types of the changes and what tasks were affected by this change. So let's have a closer look at how it works. If we'll pick some issues and update them. So I'll just move this issue into the future. You can see that by moving this issue, I actually moved also this issue because there is a hard dependency between them. And also parent task was expanded as we have out bottom up period mode. If we'll go to Infobar and refresh the data, we see new entry here. First of all, there is an indication that this is new entry. It was not visible here last time we've been here. So this is pretty useful as we are able to quickly identify what changed since our last visit to this part of BigPicture. We can see that this task was moved by, we can see the user and when the task or when the change was made. We also see here how many tasks were affected. So we have basic information regarding the change over here. We can expand this change to see the list of the tasks that were affected and what are the changes that were made. So for example, here we can see that both start date and end date was updated, while here start date remained unchanged, but the end date was updated, and due to that also duration of a task changed. For each of these tasks, if we hover over it, we have this snipe to the task button, which will basically focus the Gantt chart on this particular task, allowing us to easily find it. We can filter out these issues or this list of changes by either text. So this is working very similarly to standard search that we have in Gantt module, with a difference that only text search is available here. So we can put a text here, and if this text will be available in key, description, summary or comments of these issues, they will be displayed here and all the other ones will no longer be visible. So this also allows us to easily find whatever we are interested in. We can obviously also put here the key of the issue and it will search for this particular issue. We can also filter changes based on the date. So you can see here that all the changes that I did were done on 3rd of August. Let's make a filter that shows only changes done from the 1st to the 2nd. Nothing is here. It makes sense. If we expand it more to cover the 3rd, all the changes will be visible. So you have to keep in mind that this is filtering by the change date and not by issues start or end date. This is really important. This feature provides us also some nice possibilities. So here we have additional button, undo. We can click it and the last change will be reverted. So let's snipe to one of the issues that we changed and let's revert this change. Yep, confirm. You can see that in fact this issue was moved back and all the issues that were affected also switched back to the previous state. If I'll now refresh the data, you can see here that there is additional entry saying that the reason for the change, the scheduling action was undone. Sadly, at the moment, only one last action can be undone. So after clicking it once, I cannot undo some next actions that were done in the past. But I still think this is very useful. It often happens that we move some tasks by mistake. It may have pretty large consequences, you know, with dependencies. It can trigger changes on a lot of other issues. So being able to undo this even single action is pretty useful thing. What else? We can click on issue details and see changes affecting this particular issue. This will, of course, show us the info bar with applied filter of this particular issue, which is a pretty convenient way to look for what actually happened to this issue that it is planned for this particular days. So yeah, this is pretty nice, robust feature, although it has some limitations. First of all, it does not take into consideration scenarios. That means that if we will switch from live scenario to some other scenario and make changes to issues, they will not be visible in change history. When we merge the scenario with live scenario, this is the time when these changes will appear in this change log. So this is the first limitation. The other limitation is with the amount of data that we see here. So this basically shows only recent changes, so the changes made in last 2 weeks, first of all. Second of all, only limited number of changes, so there is only 80 changes that can be displayed on this list, and each of these change have up to 30 items, can have up to 30 items listed within this change. So basically, if we want to use this change history tab as our full change log, this is not really a place to do that. We have on issue level history of issue. This is where we store all the history. We can track whole history of all the issues there. Now this is used mostly for keeping track of what is changing from day to day, from week to week, or however you are using that, and not to keep whole history. Still, I find this feature and possibility of doing undone last action very useful, and I think it will be very helpful to many of you. So, having covered the biggest, in my view, change that BigPicture 8.6 offers, let's have a look at several smaller changes, but still very useful in my view. So, looking at Gantt module, we can edit the dates of multiple tasks at the same time. So, if we select multiple tasks, you can see that I can move them all on the timeline at the same time. So yeah, if we want to move multiple tasks that are not linked by dependencies or anything like that, this is the way to go. Another pretty useful thing is that up till now, when we filtered the issues, in this case I have a filter applied that only resolved issues are visible, we still have seen parent tasks that did not meet the filter criteria, but were displayed just to indicate that the child of this task met the criteria. So it was logically pretty good approach in my view, but still from time to time we want to see only the issues that meet the criteria. It was not possible. Now it is. We can go into this menu right from the filters themselves, and we can select hide parent tasks. And if we'll do that, we'll get a flat list of all the issues that, well, not necessarily flat list, it's flat list in this case, but we'll get the list only of issues that meet the criteria without grayed out parents that do not. So this is the second thing, and it is available not only in Gantt chart, but also in a board module. So basically wherever filters are. Okay. Another thing that was updated is that we have this clone existing scope feature, that allowed us to clone whole scope of the other box into Jira project and put this whole clone, all the cloned issues into our box. So now when we're cloning existing scope, when the issues are cloned, the original estimates of these issues is being cloned. So basically, this is something that is very helpful if we want to create some kind of project template where most of the issues already have some original estimate. Of course, it later can be updated, but we can also already have some basic values there. Another change is a change that might not be noticeable for everyone, but this is a change in behavior of auto top-down period mode. So at the moment, auto top-down period mode also includes the working and non-working days. So basically the child task of a parent task that we set the start and end dates will be planned on the working days. That includes the holidays, that includes the weekends, and so on and so on. Up till now, it was not the case. Let's switch for a moment into other module, scope module. There is also some changes here. So for some time already, BigPicture is working to increase the amount of data that can be inline edited from this level, and at the moment, additionally in BigPicture 8.6, it is possible to edit assignee inline from this view. What is more, in scope module, there were some changes when it comes to permissions. So person who has only viewer permission of a box cannot delete elements here and cannot move them around because that would possibly change the structure. On the other hand, viewer of a box can still change the aggregations on the columns, as this is just a display thing. So this is the same information displayed in a different view, so person with edit permission to edit it, it makes sense. Another very interesting thing, something that we struggled with for quite a bit, is if we'll go into let's go to overview, and let's actually go into the home box. Right now, on the home level, the resource module will actually contain information including everything that is in the lower level boxes. That allows us to have an overall overview of resources. So we can see what is the allocation of all the resources in all the portfolios, in all the projects that we have defined in BigPicture. So that was not the case up till now. If it was required, we had to do some kind of workarounds with creating additional box between the home and or the lower level boxes. But at the moment, we can see the overview here. So basically we can use the resource module on the home level to perform the company-wide planning. Okay, so that's it for the most of the module side changes. Now we'll cover some of the configuration changes. These are, I would say, the smaller ones, but still they can be useful. So let's go into we are in the home, so we will not see anything here. Let's go into our training box. Yeah. And let's go into tasks and scope definition. So first of all, manually added tasks. This section will no longer be visible if there is no manually added task here. So let's remove it. You can see that whole section disappeared. Basically it is not visible if nothing is there. Also, there was in the past a section manually removed task. It is no longer available at all. It was, well, removed. Another interesting thing is if we'll go, let's leave a page, to the structure, there is bigger change and a smaller change. So the smaller change is basically naming change of this toggle button. Now it is called clear manual indents instead, I think, of clear structure or something like that. I think that this name is more telling, as it just tells us that this basically remove all the indents that we did manually. In the past, the previous name was not so clear and understandable. And another change, the bigger one, is that now we have some pre-configured task structure builders. So basically, by simply switching here and changing, we can choose the pre-configuration that will be the best for our particular box. Of course, we can still go into the custom and change or set the values that the structure builders manually. But for most of the cases, one of these pre-configurations will work just fine and will be sufficient for most of the users. Okay, so that's it when it comes to... Oh no, sorry, there is one more thing. Let's go back into one of the modules, let's say GAN, and we'll switch into the box that actually has nothing inside. So let's go into 8.2 demo. You can see that at the moment in the modules that do not display anything, we'll actually get a link to scope definition so that we can define what should be within the scope and in consequence get something visible in this module. And this of course covers multiple different modules, so it is available across multiple modules. Now let's have a look at new features of BigPicture Enterprise. We are in the Teams module. In this case, this is a global Teams, as I am in the home. And here, when we are adding team, we are actually able to create team based on Jira group. So let's do that. I will select a group that I created earlier, Jira team. Let's leave a name like that, put the team code, and let's create it. So you can see that new team was created. It has 2 members, as my Jira group has 2 members. And you can see that both of them were added at 100%. Now, there are some things that you need to keep in mind. So first of all, if you want to now change the availability of the members, you need to go into particular member and add a new period with different availability. So this is the first thing. By default, all the users will have 100% availability. Second thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you update Jira group, the list of users here will not be updated automatically. You actually have to click synchronize here. And this is when the list of users will be updated. This is very important as many companies already use Jira groups to group users into the teams. So this is pretty cool that now BigPicture offers us possibility of creating teams based on them. But you need to keep in mind, you need to synchronize this whenever new user or new users are added. Sadly, the syncing with Jira groups is not possible for existing teams, so you can only do this when creating new team. Another feature available in BigPicture Enterprise, in BigPicture 8.6, is a new report called Capacity Report. So this report in its essence shows us the amount of available time or capacity of our team members within the box, their workload and their remaining capacity. So let's have a look at how it is defined and what possibilities we have there. So first of all, we can choose what kind of information we want to aggregate. So if we'll do this by total, there will be no option to select a value, as this just takes the total of availability or capacity of our teams. We can still pick aggregation, so whether we want to aggregate this information total in weeks or in months. Let's stick to the months for now. And what is the start date and date of a report. And this is what we've seen here. Now let's change something and see how can we affect this diagram. Let's switch into the skills, and you can see that when I switched into the skills, actually the value is now selectable. So we can choose, for example, that we want to see only capacity report for the people who are project managers. Let's save it. The report is being updated, and now the values look differently as we are just displaying people and tasks with project manager skills assigned. This applies to other options, so we can display capacity report only for specific team or only for specific user. Now this basically is information that is available in the resource module. This report shows this from slightly different perspective, simplified view for wider audience. So I think it is expanding the reports module with this particular report is a step in the right direction.
Hi, I hope you've enjoyed this BigPicture 8.6 update delivered by Jarek. You can let us know in the comments how he did. Now I'm also here to remind you that when it comes to BigPicture and Jira, we do everything around these tools. And if you want any kind of help, be it implementing BigPicture, be it getting the most out of the tool, making the configuration just right for you, we are definitely up for the task. We also provide training sessions for BigPicture itself. We provide full trainings. We provide full training with exercises, with hands-on training. So any kinds of services regarding BigPicture, this is something that you can contact us for, and we can of course talk about how to best deliver them. Of course, the contacts you will find in the description of this video. But we also have a free BigPicture course for those of you that are a little tight on the budget side. And if you want to use that, then this is definitely something that is a good starting point for any user of BigPicture. In this course, we are basically going through some simple scenarios regarding the basic setup of BigPicture and typical use cases, be it in waterfall or agile approach. So we try to make it as user-friendly as possible, and we are going through the scenario from the beginning to the end, basically. So starting from creating the project to populating the project with data, later on also to managing the results of the project work. And I personally think that this is a magnificent starting point for any BigPicture user. So if you're interested in that, definitely check also the description of this video. At the end, I also want to mention that we have a premium course that is probably like 5 times longer than our free course for BigPicture. And of course, in the premium course, we go through everything that is important in regards to BigPicture. So we cover all the functionalities, we cover the implementation process, we cover different configuration, different approaches for different kinds of needs that you might have. Therefore, we think that this is a complete course for anyone that would be interested in really taking the project management to the next level using BigPicture plus Jira. So if you want to do that by yourself, but you also need some professional guidance, then probably our premium video course is something that you want to check out. Other than that, of course, our live services are also available. Again, thanks a lot for watching this video, and see you in the next one.